Welcome to Skill 5C. In this skill, we're going to work to add and subtract mixed numbers. So the big idea here is that instead of adding and subtracting just fractions, we're now going to be adding and subtracting when we have mixed numbers, which means we're going to have to add fractional pieces and we're going to have to combine the whole numbers. So basically when we do this, we can look at an example up here. We have 3 and 1/2 plus 2 and 5/6. And as you can see, I've got a pile of fraction pieces here, and right next to it is the second pile, and we're going to basically push them all together to figure out what the whole thing is worth. So for 3 and 1/2, I'm going to color in my 3 whole numbers. And then I'm going to get my red so I can color in my 1/2, just like pattern blocks. So I've shown 3 and 1/2. And then for the next one, I'm going to get my yellow again. I've got a 2 as my whole number, so I'm going to color in 2 whole number pattern blocks. And then I have 5/6. So to do that, I need to color in 5 of these green triangles, since the green triangles are each worth 1/6. Altogether, I have 3 and 1/2 plus 2 and 5/6. So if you can imagine you have 2 piles of pattern blocks, in order to add them, you're basically going to push them together to make one big pile. Once I do that, I can see here are my whole numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to color those yellow. It's like if I just put all the yellow pattern blocks right up next to each other. We just added the whole numbers. And then the next step is going to be that we're going to add up the fraction pieces. To do that, here is my red 1/2. And then I had 5 of the green triangles because I had 5/6. Now you might have noticed I did something really intentional here with them. I put 3 of these green triangles, and then I've got 2 more here to make the 5. But hopefully you noticed that when I put the 1/2, that's right here, and 3 of the sixths right here, when I put them together, that gave me one whole. So as I'm adding these mixed number fractions, you'll find that there are opportunities to make another whole number. So when I think about that, I'm going to have to count that as a whole number. So for this addition problem, if I'm counting all my whole numbers, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 whole numbers, and then 1, 2 pieces, and those pieces are the size 1/6. So 3 and 1/2 plus 2 and 5/6 gives me an answer of 6 and 2/6. And now thinking back to your earlier fraction lessons, noticing that we're working with sixths, hopefully you recognize that this fraction has a denominator of 6, and this fraction, which had a denominator of 1/2, I could have rewritten as sixths. I could have multiplied the numerator and the denominator by 3 to turn it into sixths. In this way, I'm able to combine all of my pieces. All right, so we drew it so we can see what's happening, but ultimately you're going to use computation. You're going to solve it with your fraction knowledge way more than you're going to draw it. It's good to know how to draw it so you can see what it really means, but most of the time you're going to be solving it just using paper and pencil. So down here, I have the same problem that we did with pattern blocks, except for now I'm going to solve it just using my calculations. The steps are just the same as we did before, except for in this one, we're going to add in the step where we add the whole numbers. So let's look at those steps. Step 1 says when I'm adding my fractions, I need to find the LCM, the least common multiple. So if I have 3 and 1/2 plus 2 and 5/6, I'm going to look at those two denominators and I'm going to start listing multiples. 2, 4, 6. And then down here, as soon as I draw my 6, I know that's going to be the multiple I use. So I need to rewrite this problem using the denominator sixths. So here is my original problem. My whole number doesn't change, but I need to rewrite 1/2 as sixths. So I'm going to multiply my denominator and my numerator by 3, and I'm going to turn 3 and 1/2 into 3 and 3/6. Bring down my plus sign, and then 2 and 5/6 didn't need to change. It was already written as sixths. So my first step was to find the least common multiple. My second step was to multiply the fractions to create equivalent fractions and then rewrite the problem. Step 3 is going to ask me to just add the fractions together. So I'm looking at my fractions here. I have 3/6 plus 5/6 altogether. That gives me 8/6. Step 4 says add your whole numbers. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 and 8/6. And then step 5 says if you look at your fraction and you see that it's an improper fraction, if the number on top is bigger than the number on the bottom, I know I've got a whole number hiding in there, so I need to do some conversions. I'm going to come over here and write 5 and 8/6. Now I know that's equal to 5 plus, I'm going to break up my 8/6 into 6/6 plus 2 more sixths. 6 plus 2 is 8, so I just took my 8/6 and I broke it apart. Now I know this 6/6 is really worth 1. 5 plus 1 is 6, and then I have 2/6 left over. 6 and 2/6. And this matches with what we drew up here when we pushed the pieces together. All right, let's practice a couple more of those now that we have the strategy. If you get stuck, look back at your notes, and remember it's exactly what you were doing in the last lesson. The only real difference is we also have to remember to add our whole numbers together. All right, so now I am working with 3 and 5/9. To start, I need to find my LCM, my least common multiple. So I have 3 and 5/9 and 2 and 2/3. So I need to find the LCM for 9 and 3. Ooh, looking at 3, I'm going to start there because that's the smaller number, and I know my multiples of 3, 3, 6, 9. There is my LCM. So I'm going to take 3 and 5/9 plus 2 and 2/3, and I'm going to rewrite it all as ninths. 3 and 5/9 does not need to change. It's already written as ninths. Plus, now I've got 2 and 2/3. I want to rewrite thirds as ninths. So I have to multiply the denominator. Multiply my denominator by 3 and multiply my numerator by 3. My whole number does not change. It stays the whole number 2. But now I'm going to have 2 and 6/9. All right, I have 3 and 5/9 plus 2 and 6/9. So now you have a choice here. You could choose to add the whole numbers together first, or you could choose to add the fractions together first. It really doesn't matter which one you decide to add first, but I like to add the fractions together first. So I'm going to do it that way. I've got 5/9 plus 6 more ninths. Altogether, that gives me 11/9. And then I have 3 plus 2, which is 5. Finally, I'm going to look at my number 5 and 11/9 and ask myself, do I have an improper fraction? Is there enough to make another whole number? Since 11 is bigger than 9, I know a whole number is hiding, so I need to do some converting to figure out how to turn it into a mixed number. So I've got 5 and 11/9. I'm going to rewrite that as 5 plus 9/9. If I take 9 away from 11, that leaves me with 2, so I've got 2 more ninths. And now I can combine this. 5 plus 9/9, that's worth 1. 5 plus 1 is 6, and 2/9. Let's try another one. I have 1 and 3/4. 1 3/4 plus 10/16. Since they have different denominators, that's going to be my first job. I need to rewrite them as I need to rewrite them with common denominators. So I'm going to find the LCM. All right, 4, 8, 12, 16. There we go. So I can rewrite these using the denominator of 16. If I have 1 3/4 plus 10/16, so let me write that 4 a little better. I need to rewrite 3/4 as 16ths. To turn 4 into 16, I'm going to multiply it by 4. So my whole number stays the same, 1. And my 3/4 turns into 12/16. 1 and 12/16 plus 10/16. I'm going to add my fractions. 12/16 plus 10/16 gives me 22/16. And then I can add my whole number. I have a 1 here and no other whole number, so it's just 1. 1 and 22/16. My last job is to look at that and decide, do I have an improper fraction? Is there a whole number hiding? And since 22 is bigger than 16, I know I can pull out a whole number. So I'm going to do some conversions. 1 and 22/16. I'm going to rewrite that as 1 plus 16/16. That's my whole number. If I take 16 away from 22, I have 6 left. 6/10. Now I've got 1 plus 16/16. I know that's worth 1. So my new whole number will be 2. And my fraction is 6. Oops. Let me fix that. I was working with a denominator of 16. Sorry about that. 16/16, and there are 6/16 left over. That gives me an answer of 2 and 6/16. All right, please go back and double check. I accidentally wrote tenths and they should be 16ths. So if you did the same mistake I did, please make that correction. All right, so this is our strategy for adding mixed number fractions. Go back and check that your notes are completed, and then please join me for page 2 of these notes where we work to subtract mixed number fractions.